Why your brain needs carbs to survive. Stop starving it. Imagine that right now, in the year 2026, more than 80% of residents of developed countries lead an invisible war with their own appetite every day, trying to completely exclude carbohydrates from their diet. We live in an era when an ordinary piece of bread or a ripe apple causes a sense of guilt in many people, comparable to committing a crime against their own health. Modern social networks are overflowing with stories about the amazing transformation of those who gave up sugar and starch, promising us eternal youth and incredible mental clarity. However, statistics from medical centers in the United States of America and Europe show a frightening increase in cases of chronic fatigue and cognitive disorders among followers of extreme diets. Today, you and I will conduct a real journalistic investigation to find out why carbohydrates have become the main villains of our time and why an attempt to completely banish them from life can end in disaster for your brain. You will learn how to distinguish dangerous sweets from vital fuel and understand why your body sometimes literally begs for a portion of pasta or rice despite all the prohibitions of trendy nutritionists. Prepare yourselves, because the truth about metabolism is much more complex and interesting than the short slogans from popular weight loss videos. The history of humanity's hatred for carbohydrates did not begin yesterday, but it is in recent decades that it has reached its peak, turning into a real dietary inquisition. We're used to blaming buns and potatoes for all troubles, from extra weight on the waist to problems with skin condition and overall energy levels. However, if we look into the deep past, we will find that it was precisely access to complex carbohydrates that allowed the ancestors of modern humans to develop such a complex and energy-consuming organ as the brain. Our brain makes up only 2% of the total body weight, but at the same time, it consumes about 20% of all energy received from food in the form of glucose. When you decide to completely give up carbohydrates, you are actually putting your main computer on a strict economy mode, which inevitably leads to system failures. Many people describe this state as mental fog, when familiar tasks require incredible effort and concentration falls to critical levels. It is important to understand that carbohydrates are different, and it is precisely the inability to distinguish them that gives rise to most of the myths that prevent us from being healthy and slim. The secret lies in how our body reacts to different types of sugars and starches passing through the digestive system. When you eat a refined dessert, the blood sugar level skyrockets, causing a powerful release of insulin, which tries to save the vessels from damage. This process is like a roller coaster, where a short moment of euphoria is inevitably followed by a sharp drop down, leaving you broken and hungry just 40 minutes after eating. Complex carbohydrates contained in whole grains, legumes, and vegetables behave quite differently, giving away their energy slowly and smoothly. They provide our muscles and brain with fuel for several hours without causing sharp hormone spikes and without provoking the deposition of fat reserves. The problem of modern society is that we are surrounded by cheap and accessible simple carbohydrates that masquerade as healthy snacks or ready-made breakfasts. It is this abundance of hidden sugar in sauces, yogurts, and even semi-finished meat products that creates the illusion that all carbohydrates, without exception, are our enemies. Many of you have probably heard about the ketogenic diet, which promises to burn fat by turning the body into a machine for processing ketone bodies instead of glucose. In the short term, this can indeed lead to rapid weight loss, but the long-term consequences for most people remain a big question. Studies from the year 2025 confirm that a long-term carbohydrate deficiency can lead to disruption of the thyroid gland and a slowdown of the overall metabolism. The body perceives the absence of carbohydrates as a signal of the onset of hungry times and begins to hold on to every calorie with all its might, which eventually leads to a plateau effect and a rapid return of weight. In addition, the complete exclusion of carbohydrates deprives our intestines of necessary fiber, which is a nutrient medium for the beneficial bacteria of our microbiome. Gut health is directly related to our immunity and even mood, as it is there that a significant part of serotonin, called the happiness hormone, is produced. Thus, by trying to gain an ideal figure through strict restrictions, we risk losing mental balance and physical endurance. Special attention should be paid to the connection between carbohydrates and our ability to cope with stress, which has become an integral part of life in the 21st century. Under conditions of constant tension, the adrenal glands produce cortisol, which requires an immediate influx of energy for the fight or flight reaction. If at this moment the body does not receive a sufficient amount of glucose from food, it begins to break down its own muscle tissues to ensure the work of the brain. This explains why, after a hard working day or emotional shock, we are so strongly drawn to sweets or flour products. This is not a lack of willpower, but a biological survival mechanism that tries to restore the energy balance at any cost. Instead of fighting these urges with the help of prohibitions, it is much more effective to learn to give the body high-quality carbohydrates at the right time. The right choice of products allows you to keep cortisol levels under control, maintaining calm and productivity even in the most difficult life situations. It is interesting to observe how the attitude towards nutrition changes in different cultures, where carbohydrates have traditionally formed the basis of the diet for millennia. Look at the residents of the so-called blue zones, where the number of long livers significantly exceeds the world average, and people remain active until 90 years and more. In Japan, Italy, and Greece, the basis of nutrition is rice, pasta made from durum wheat, and a large number of legumes, supplemented with fresh vegetables and healthy fats. These people are not afraid of carbohydrates because they consume them as part of whole foods that have not undergone deep industrial processing. Their example proves that the secret of longevity and slimness lies not in giving up macronutrients, but in their correct combination and quality. We should learn from them the art of enjoying food, where each ingredient serves a specific purpose and brings benefit to the body. When we talk about physical activity, the role of carbohydrates becomes even more obvious and undeniable for anyone who wants to see the results of their workouts. Glycogen, which is stored in our muscles and liver, is the main source of explosive strength and endurance during sports. Without a sufficient amount of carbohydrates in the diet, your workouts will turn into an agonizing struggle with your own weakness, and the recovery process will drag on for long days. Many professional athletes in 2024 and 2025 reconsidered their views on low-carb diets, returning to a balanced diet. This allowed them not only to improve their athletic performance, but also to significantly reduce the risk of injury and emotional burnout. Remember that your body is a complex mechanism that requires high-quality fuel to perform any tasks, whether it is a morning jog or a busy working day in the office. Concluding our conversation, I want to emphasize that carbohydrates are not enemies, but the most important allies in the struggle for a high quality and long life. The main task of each of us is to learn to listen to the signals of our body and choose products that truly bring benefit. Do not let fleeting trends in dietetics dictate terms to you that contradict the biological nature of man and the needs of your unique organism. Start adding more whole grains, vegetables, and fruits to your diet, watching how your energy returns and your consciousness clears. Health is not a number on the scale, but your well-being, the sparkle in your eyes, and the desire to conquer new heights every day. Study scientific facts, consult with professionals, and build your relationship with food based on respect and understanding, not fear and restrictions. Let this video become a starting point for you toward conscious nutrition, where harmony between taste and benefit will become your new reality. Tell us in the comments about your experience with carbohydrates, and do not forget to subscribe so as not to miss our new investigations into the secrets of the human body.